You're representing your company. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some juicy r/nuclear revenge stories posted on Reddit. You're representing your company. On my way home from work on Chicago, I got cut off because a guy wanted to pass a truck. That type of stuff happens all the time, but this was worse than usual. Slamming my brakes really annoyed me, so I passed him as quick as I could. Since there was heavy traffic, I couldn't get ahead of the guy who cut me off, and he pulled alongside me. I'm not perfect and don't think much of flipping someone off, so I did. This got much more than the expected reaction of getting flipped off back. Weirdly, it was 75 degrees, 23-ish C, in November, so we both had our windows down. This guy starts yelling at me for flipping him off, and I yelled back, "You cut me off." No surprises here, the guy says he didn't. My heated up brake pads disagree, but whatever. I noticed he was in company vehicle and said, "You're representing a company." He said he didn't care because his brother owned it. Here's where it starts picking up. He's still pissed I flipped him off and starts challenging me to a fight. I don't care about this guy at all, so I laugh it off and give him the hand sign for "you're just running your mouth." He keeps escalating, calling me a pussy and still yelling. He even said I flicked off the wrong guy because he's an outlaw. We are driving side by side yelling at each other. I guess this guy really wanted to get under my skin, scare me, or wanted to actually injure me because he revved his engine while swerving into my lane. I moved over in time into the left turn lane, but was able to continue straight unimpeded as he went back to his lane quickly. For the story, I would like to say this really scared me or pushed me off or set me over the edge, but it just gave me the ammo I needed. I got home safely and got to work. I have a dashboard camera, so I went back to the footage of the guy cutting me off. I got so close even with slamming my brakes that I could read everything. His company name and phone number were at my fingertips. I thought to myself, even if his brother runs the company, which I doubt, he probably wouldn't want this huge liability driving his work truck besmirching his company name. I called, explained the situation, and the receptionist told me no brothers worked there. Surprise, surprise. She then asked for the footage, to which I happily obliged. Here is her response: "Okay, thanks again for letting us know. I do believe he was on his way home from work, so he will not be allowed to drive his work vehicle home going forward, and we are purchasing dash cams for all of our company vehicles going forward. I'm very sorry this was your experience, and please know we'll be doing everything we can to correct this behavior going forward. Nothing like taking a few minutes out of my day to ruin this guy's work commute. He'll have to drive to the company, pick up his service truck, work, then drop off the truck before going home instead of just going to jobs then going home." Sweet revenge to a teacher. A few years ago, when I was in the last grade of middle school, 9th grade, our basic computer science, I'm not sure how to translate it to English, but it was teaching us some basic stuff like PowerPoint or Excel, teacher got promoted to be vice principal. School needed a new teacher, and unfortunately he wasn't good teacher in any way. I don't know if anyone learnt anything from him, but most people already knew thing or chose to learn at home. It wasn't very hard. But I'm sure no one liked him, even teachers. There were so many problems with him throughout the year that everybody knew he wouldn't have his contract renewed. I think that they couldn't fire him until the end of that year. The most serious problem was grading at the end of a year. Several people did some additional presentations for various subjects. Mostly some competitions required doing PowerPoint presentations. In previous years, students just went to the previous teacher and she would give an additional grade for students. With that guy, it was almost impossible. One of my classmates did a presentation for a national competition, and even if she didn't win, she was close to winning. He didn't give her additional grade. A friend from another class did every presentation for school events for vice principal's request. He didn't give him additional grade. His reasoning was that it wasn't discussed with him prior to all of this. I think that the principal or vice principal overruled him because students really needed that grades. For some people it was deciding points for their high school's recruitment. After a year with him, everyone was fed up, so one class had a wonderful idea. As a goodbye gift, they bought him a comb. He was bald. Steal our cat? Get ready for the mess. A little background on the cat. Romeo was born in our house and lived with his mother and siblings. He also had a heart murmur which was manageable but required daily medication. So a few years ago one of my family's cats hadn't came home for dinner, which was unusual. When it got to the second day, 36 hours no show, we were very worried, so went out looking. We all came home one by one with no luck until my little sister ran inside and told us he was sat in our neighbor's window. We knocked to explain he was our cat and take him home, but the neighbor refused to hand him over, claiming he was a stray who she saved and was a girl cat. It got pretty heated and we ended up threatening to involve police, but this woman was standing her ground. My mom called the police, but they said we would have to wait a few days for them to come out, which we couldn't afford to wait. He needed his meds. So we put our heads together to find a way to get him back without barging in there. The thing is that our cats all have odd habits because of our own. We're one of those families who sing everything and dance about a lot, so we have certain songs which the cats know mean it's time for treats, it's time to vacuum, etc., and one of those songs is the can-can. The can-can means it's time for canned food, and all our cats know this. They get pretty rowdy when you sing it because they love their wet food. If you sing the can-can and don't deliver on the promise of food, they get mad and start acting out. So me and my sister set out the next morning with a plan. We stood outside the neighbor's house, on the pavement, public pathway, and did the can-can for an hour straight. We sang at the top of our lungs. We looked like we'd lost our goddamn minds, but it was working. Romeo was our most vocal cat and he was shouting, "It's canned food time." Where was his canned food? We went to the window and saw him clawing up the furniture with vengeance and encouraged him, "Good boy, mess their sofa up real nice, yeah, get those curtain." The neighbors told us to leave after they got too sick of the singing without realizing our boy was ruining their living room, so we left and waited. A few hours later there was a knock on our door. The neighbor gave us a lecture about our uncontrollable pets and handed Romeo over. My mom took him into the house and slammed the door in her face with a big "fuck you." Romeo had his meds and a vet checkup, all good thank God, and lived a long happy life as a part of our household. I got revenge on a bully's brother. So a few years ago in my neighborhood we had two kids, one in 5th grade and one in 2nd or 3rd grade, I can't remember. The 5th grader will be known as Jerk and his little brother will be Jerk's brother. He was not really a jerk. My friend will be Friend and I will be I. Jerk really cared about Jerk's brother and protected him like he was everything. In our neighborhood had a little island of prairie. We live in Iowa and prairies are everywhere. That split the road into two and back again in the entrance to our neighborhood. It had 2 trees and a sign with the name of our neighborhood on it. We get boiling summers and freezing winters, and in the winter we get a lot of snow. The snow that year was in big pieces, a bit bigger than the size of a very old TV. After we got off of our bus we started walking and talking. While we were talking, Jerk took a chunk of snow, ran across the island and dumped it over my head. I was pissed, but I kept talking with Friend. Then Friend got dumped on and I was even more pissed. This continued for about 2 minutes. Then Jerk's brother got in on it and that was when I struck. My shoes, socks, pants and shirt was wet. I had no snow pants on, and I was done with this. Jerk's brother ran across the island with a chunk of snow and stopped on the sidewalk. He froze and dropped his chunk when he saw me making a ball of snow and packing it together with all of my might. For the people who are not familiar with snow, you might not know this, but when you do what I did, it creates a heavy ball of hardness and pain if it hits you. I am a great hitter but the worst thrower ever to play baseball. So when I threw it, it missed. And hit him square in the freaking nuts. Luck had granted me a nut shot. Everyone's head turned. I saw the life drain from his face. I still think back to him dropping to his knees and covering his groin and smile. I had a new problem now. His brother. He did what was basically a bull charge from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Great game, and no, I am not a 45-year-old. He tackled me and Friend had to pull me away from his weak punches. He doesn't punch like Bald Bull, that's for sure. I bolted to my driveway and caught my breath with Friend in tow. We chatted for a second and I walked inside and I celebrated my victory against Jerk. Jerk is no longer a jerk and we get along. He moved away sadly and I miss him. He was fun when we got along. Also I feel bad for Jerk's brother because he just followed Jerk's orders. Parking revenge. So a little backstory before I get the actual revenge story. I live in a really small and tight street with super limited parking spots, but it is like a unwritten rule that every parks in front of their place, not someone else's. Recently this douchebag moved in across the street and he has 4 cars. 3 that just sit around and 1 that he drives daily, and he has those junkers parked all over taking other people's spots, causing problems. I have on a few occasions left a small note on his car asking him politely to please not park in my spot, and still he keeps doing it, and it really pisses me off because when he does take my spot I have to park a few streets over and walk for about 5 minutes to get home. Not far, I know, just annoying, because I don't take other people's spots. So on to the actual story if you are still with me. 3 days ago overnight we had a massive snowfall. It was up to my knees and I'm 6 feet 4 inches. I wake up and need to go to the store to buy groceries, so I get a shovel and spend about 30 minutes digging my car out of the parking spot, and I shovel all the snow out of the spot so it's easy for me to get back in my spot with my groceries when I get back. While I'm doing that the douchebag comes out and leaves, and he looks at me while I'm shoveling snow. We even make eye contact, so he clearly saw me clearing snow out of my spot. So I go to the store and return some 20 minutes later, and what do I see? The fucking douche has stolen my spot. The parking spot that he saw me spend 30 minutes clearing. I instantly get raging mad. And I honk my horn outside his house to try get him to move his car. That doesn't work, although I thought I saw his curtains move when I honked. So I calm myself down and get out, walk up to his door and knock to see if I can get him to move his car. He doesn't come to the door, but I can clearly hear him inside. Absolutely furious, I storm back to my car and park in the next street over and carry my groceries trough knee-deep snow, and just as I get to my door I see him peek trough his curtains across the street. I go inside and plot my revenge. I waited until it was about 1 a.m. to be sure. He was asleep, keeping an eye out the entire day to see if he moves his car, which he didn't. So I go out with my shovel and I shovel all the snow I could find in a massive radius around his car and pack it tight under his car and around it and a massive pile on top of it. Took me about 2 to 3 hours. You could not see his car anymore and I was 100% sure he couldn't drive out of the pile. I packed it super tight. I go to bed feeling happy with a job well done. The next morning I wake up to a loud knocking on my door, so I get out of bed and go to the door. There he is, furious that his car is in a snow pile and he is going to be late for work, and tells me to get my ass outside and dig his car out of the pile. I calmly walk outside, look at the pile and say, "Oh, must have snowed again last night. Unlucky that your car is parked exactly where it all came down," and give him a little smirk to go with the joke. Walk back inside and close my door, and I can hear him outside for the next hour or so trying to get his car out of the pile. He hasn't taken my spot since then. Mission complete. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.